In this lecture, we're going to talk about product to sum formulas. Recall that we talked about formulas for cosine of a plus b, as well as cosine of a minus b. In cosine of a plus b, we have cosine of a, cosine of b minus sine a sine b. And then for cosine of a minus b, we had cosine of a cosine of b plus sine a sine b. Now we're going to do a little bit of algebra with this. If I add these two equations together, on the right hand side, the sine a sine b, they cancel out and we get 2 times cosine a cosine b. Since I want to find formula for product to sum, I'm going to isolate cosine of a times cosine of b. And this will be accomplished by dividing by 2. And we get, now for consistency, I'm going to put cosine of a minus b first. So this is a formula for if we have the product of two cosines and we can write it as the sum. Now similarly, if we're going to subtract these two formulas in the beginning, so I'm going to go for cosine of a minus b minus cosine of a plus b. So we're going the second formula minus the first formula, and in this case the cosine of a cosine of b cancel out, so we're going to get 2 sine a sine b. Again, I'm going to isolate sine a sine b by simply dividing by 2. So sine a sine b will be 1/2 times cosine of a minus b minus cosine of a plus b. So we got two formulas so far. We have cosine cosine and we have sine sine. So now if I'm interested to find a relationship that has sine and cosine, the product of sine and cosine, we have to do a little bit work with these two formulas. So we covered this already. Sine of a plus b and sine of a minus b. The formula for sine of a plus b was sine a cosine b plus cosine A sine B. And the formula for the sine of A minus B was sine A cosine B minus cosine A sine B. So if we simply add these two equations together, we're going to get sine A plus B plus sine A minus B. And on the right-hand side, the cosine A sine B, they cancel each other out. One is plus, one is minus. So we're going to get 2 sine A cosine B. Now, since we're interested to find a product of sine and cosine, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So we have sine A cosine B, and that becomes equal to, after you divide by 2, we get 1/2 times sine of A plus B plus sine of A minus B. So let's summarize what we know so far. We know that sine A sine B is equal to 1/2 cosine A minus B minus cosine of A plus B. We also found that cosine A cosine B is equal to 1/2 cosine of A minus B plus cosine of A plus B. And we also found a relationship between the product of sine and cosine. Sine A cosine B is equal to 1/2 sine A plus B plus sine of A minus B. These formulas are referred to as product to sum formulas. Now let's take a look at a few examples. I want to find exact value for cosine of 45 degrees times sine of 15 degrees. So we have a combination of cosine times sine. Cosine of 45 times sine of 15. The formula that we just found for this one is 1/2 sine of the sum plus sine of the difference. So we go 45 degrees plus 15 degrees, and we go 45 degrees minus 15 degrees. We're going to take our time and simplify this. So this will be 1/2 sine of 60 degrees plus sine of 30 degrees. Now 30 degrees and 60 degrees are those famous angles for a right triangle. Sine of 60 is radical 3/2, and sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. I'm going to factor a 1/2 from the inside. So our final answer is 1/4 times radical 3 plus 1. So this is the exact value for sine of 15 degrees times cosine of 45 degrees. Now let's look at another one. I want to find exact value for four times sine of x plus pi over 4 times sine of x minus pi over 4. So here we have to use the formula that has sine times sine. The formula for sine times sine is 1/2 cosine of the difference minus cosine of the sum. So let's come outside of this process and figure out what's the difference of these two angles. X plus pi over 4 minus x minus pi over 4. We simplify this and that becomes pi over 2. So the difference of our angles is just pi over 2. Now we do the same thing with the sum. Here I don't need the parentheses. And this reduces to 2x. So 4 times 1/2 is 2. This will be cosine of pi over 2 minus cosine of 2x. But cosine of pi over 2 is the same as cosine of 90 degrees, and cosine of 90 degrees is 0. So we have now 2 times 0 minus cosine of 2x So our final answer is negative 2 times cosine of 2x. So we simplified, and the exact value for our problem is negative 2 times cosine 2x. Now one more example. This time we want to evaluate cosine of 5 pi over 12 times cosine of pi over 12. Now here we have to use the formula that has the product of cosine and cosine. And that formula is 1/2 times cosine of the difference plus cosine of the sum of those angles. So again, I'm going to do my calculations outside. Five pi over 12 minus pi over 12 will be 4 pi over 12, which is pi over 3. And also we need to add them together. 5 pi over 12 plus pi over 12, that would be 6 pi over 12, which is pi over 2. So we have 1/2 cosine of pi over 3 plus cosine of pi over 2. Now cosine of pi over 3 is 1/2 and cosine of pi over 2 is 0. So the exact value for our problem is 1/4. I hope this brief lecture helps you understand the process of going from sum, actually going from product to sum.